If superheroes actually existed, they would be the worst kind of people. Arrogant, egotistical, megalomaniacs, unstable sociopaths, and dangerously deviant in a rated 18 kind of way. With these people having incredible and surreal powers, it's inevitable that innocent bystanders will become victims of collateral damage. And of these innocent bystanders, a select few seek revenge on these quote-unquote superheroes, a unique group of vigilantes called the Boys. With a premise like that, there's no way this show isn't going to be a wild ride of the most unhinged scenes of violence and dark comedy. Pray for my editing software. It's going to be doing overtime to keep this video monetized as I recap every episode of The Boys. Our main guy Huey is having a pleasant stroll with his girlfriend Robin when all of a sudden...
Merch Billy.
Yes, that is a floating puddle of her blood and bones. And yes, we're only 6 minutes into the first episode. She just got obliterated by a soup called A-Train. By the way, superheroes in this world are referred to as soups. From A-Train's reaction, it's clear he never meant for this to happen. But yeah, it doesn't make it any less traumatic for poor old Huey. Simon Pegg plays Huey's dad, and I'll never find it natural hearing him do an American accent.
Oh, jeez, maybe there's a movie on.
No, keep it.
No, we can switch
Keep it.
He tries to talk Huey into accepting a payout, and sign a confidentiality agreement to keep him silent on what A-Train did.
It's a boilerplate NDA.
I signed this, and I can't talk about it.
Look, I know you're upset, but we're just trying to help.
But who's this guy working for? Well, in this world, superheroes don't just exist, they are big business. And a corporation called Vought basically owns A-Train, as well as some of the other soups that we'll soon be meeting. These soups are marketed as saviours of the world through social media, the film industry, and so on. So you can imagine the PR nightmare they're having as they try to deal with A-Train's tragic mistake. Keeping Huey silent on the matter is a big priority for them right now. Feeling that they're treating Robin's death heartlessly, Huey snaps back at the insult.
You people say our condolences and my sympathies and our regrets, but nobody can look me in the f***ing eye and say, I'm sorry. I'm not signing anything. Get out. I said, get the hell out!
But Huey's not that kind of guy. Yet. So for now, this was just in his head. Back to Huey in a moment, because we have another soup to meet. This one is called Starlight, real name Annie. Here she is, training in her garden, lifting cars and punching holes in her garage. Something of which her mum is encouraging. Don't you need this wall to hold up the garage? Starlight's in the recruitment process to be part of Vault's soup team, known as the Seven. Her superpower is the ability to emit light energy strong enough to blind a person and wipe out nearby technology. She comes from humble beginnings and gives off this angelic, small-town girl type vibe, experiencing life in the big city for the first time. And Vault are very excited to push this attractive, idealistic young woman into the spotlight.
You're doing really well, by the way, so far.
I haven't done anything yet.
Yeah, exactly. You're already up 2.5 points with Midwesterners and conservative Christians in 18 to 49.
A soup who goes by the name The Deep gives her a personal tour of the conference room where the Seven hang out. She admits that she used to have a schoolgirl crush on The Deep, and he takes this as a sign to take off his pants.
What? I mean, you said you had a crush on me. I figured that, you know.
Starlight stands her ground, but then he threatens that any whistleblowing she might do, and not the kind of whistleblowing he had in mind, will lead to her being kicked out of the Seven, as Deep is a big deal round here, so he can make that happen.
Excuse me?
Whoa, 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 whoa. Hey, take it easy.
Alright, time to lighten the mood with a cheeky Londoner character. Meet Billy Butcher. He finds Huey working in the TV store, and he claims to be an FBI agent looking into Robin's death. He tells Huey that Robin's case is one of the rare ones that got the media's attention. Most of these cases get swept under the carpet.
A multi-billion-dollar global industry supported by corporate lobbyists and politicians on both sides.
But if you knew half the shit they get up to, then that's where I come in.
Come in to do what?
Spank the bastards when they get out of line.
He leads Huey to a secret club where supes can be as frisky as they like, with whomever they like. Whether it's a guy shrinking himself down to launch himself into a human, slip and slide style, or a Christian preacher who, despite his public distaste for homosexuality, secretly ready to stretch his options, if you catch my drift. Billy shows him security footage of A-Train laughing about what he did to Robin.
I ran so fast through this bitch that I had swallowed one of her molars. Dude, that's nasty.
You're laughing.
With Huey fired up and ready to be part of the team, Billy says their first move is to find out why A-Train was in such a rush that day. He appeared to be running away from something or heading towards something. Either way, he had a sus look on his face. Huey is tasked with planting a bug inside Vault, and he can do this by agreeing to take their payout, but only after a face-to-face apology from A-Train. Huey has been suffering from PTSD, and it kicks in big time when he sees A-Train again.
Sorry about having your girlfriend, alright?
But then he snaps back to business.
I appreciate the apology.
He uses their bathroom and plants the bug, but little did he know a supe called Translucent was watching his every move. He follows Huey back to the tech store and starts kicking his ass. But right in the nick of time, Billy Butcher crashes his car through the window and gets to work. He tells Huey to run, but he's not going anywhere. When Translucent has his back turned, Billy kicks him onto Huey's electrical cable. So great, that's Translucent down, but now what? What should an FBI agent do in this case?
And you're a federal officer, you know? Just call it the fucking FBI.
Yeah, okay, so look, technically I'm not a Fed.
What?
Earlier on, Huey and Starlight got talking on a bench, but he doesn't yet know that she's a supe. They form a slight friendship because he offers her a normal conversation, allowing her to blow off some steam on the rough time she's been having with Vault and the Deep. The mayor of Baltimore is trying to recruit a supe to represent his city, but he threatens to reveal a secret about Vault if this lady, one of the highest execs at Vault, doesn't bring her price down in this deal. The company secret is something called Compound V, which we'll learn more about later. Arguably the most powerful supe in the Seven is Homelander, and when he learns of this man blackmailing Madeline Stillwell, he flies up to his private jet, and even though he can clearly see his young son in the window, he lasers down the jet like it's no big deal. Homelander's powers are pretty much the same as Superman, but as we can see, Homelander is a complete psychopath, and man is he entertaining to watch. Stay tuned to see just how unhinged this guy becomes. Translucent isn't quite dead yet, and they argue about what to do next.
Let me out! Pull over!
Huey, you walk away now, and you will never get payback for Robin. You'll spend the rest of your life sitting on your ass in fucking regret. Now, is that what you want?
They pay a visit to an old acquaintance of Butcher, a French guy creatively nicknamed Frenchie. He doesn't really trust Butcher, suggesting that he did something crappy to Frenchie in the past.
You and I work together and you're still in one piece.
Am I?
Opening up the boot, Butcher tells Frenchie that he has to be part of the team now because Translucent's just seen his face. The other pressing issue is that every supe is microchipped, so they can easily be tracked at any time. Frenchie is a gun runner / killer for hire. He also takes drugs to come up with ideas during missions, so that's something to look forward to. They find an abandoned restaurant and lock Translucent in a cage, surrounded by signal blocking foil. Huey gets nervous about what they intend to do with him.
You're gonna kill him?
We didn't bring him here for a fucking Happy Meal.
Classic Butcher. Butcher says they have to kill Translucent, otherwise he will tell the Seven, and they will come back and kill them instead. Trouble is, Translucent, much like many of the other soups, has bulletproof skin. So Frenchie's going to need some strong substances to come up with a super creative idea.
Here it comes. Good idea's coming.
His solution is a bullet made from the same material as translucent skin.
This is a really good idea.
But then he fires the bullet and it ricochets around the room. Huey tries a more friendly approach of giving him a glass of water and hoping that he can build some trust with some normal conversation. But Translucent still isn't budging. More so because he can tell this is Huey's first time doing this.
Yeah, I know you're trying your damnedest to be tough. It's a little adorable. But the truth is, you're terrifying.
To give context, they want information on where A-Train was running that day, and they assume Translucent would know, being one of the 7. Meanwhile, Homelander is talking with Madeline about the plane being lasered out the sky. She's frustrated that he did that without her say-so, and his defense is that he was doing it to protect her.
He was blackmailing you.
I am the last person you need to save.
Yeah, but I did it for you.
I know. But did the timing occur to you?
These two have a very interesting relationship. You see, even though Homelander is basically an invincible god, he still yearns to feel vulnerable and that someone is there to mother him. When he's around Madeline, he changes his demeanour to that of a sulking toddler who needs his mother's affection. But as a grown man, this affection he desires takes on a more pixelated feeling. We see this more clearly later on when he's using his X-ray vision to leer at Madeline while she's expressing baby milk. While watching a nature documentary on tortoises, Frenchie gets an idea that as they can't penetrate his skin, they could penetrate a certain stinky hole and jam a stick of C4 up there. With that exciting idea, they zap him to sleep and get to work. Vault Surveillance reports Translucent's last known location before he disappeared from the radar, giving Homelander a rough area to search. Seeing him fly rapidly over their hideout on Frenchie's CCTV is really unsettling, amplified by how nervous they are right now.
What is that?
Homelander.
That's Homelander? Homelander's here.
Frenchie calls his girlfriend to create a diversion, and she needs to be quick because Homelander is questioning Frenchie.
Sir, I need to see in the back of the van.
No offense, you got a warrant or something?
Well, if you got nothing back there, then you got nothing to worry about, right?
Luckily, the diversion bomb goes off before Homelander is able to investigate any further. Things are intense inside as well, because Translucent found a way out of his cage by chucking some piss on the nearby car battery that was keeping the cage electrified. Huey is the only one around to press the trigger, and he hesitates in doing so. He's not a killer like Butcher and Frenchie, so Translucent is easily able to make him reconsider doing it. But as he walks away, Huey plucks up the courage, and pop goes the ketchup bottle. Two more events to mention before we move on. Starlight is having trouble sticking to her scripted crime fighting, independently taking out 2 scumbags who were trying it on with a drunk woman, which you would think would be a good crime to stop, right? Well, the problem is, this event got filmed by the public, and social media has started to spread false information about what was going down, saying that she just gave 2 innocent guys a beatdown, which from Vault's point of view is another PR nightmare to deal with. The other event to mention is that Madeline is trying to convince a senator to allow Soups into the military. He's not convinced this is a good idea, saying that Soup intervention would only escalate a conflict to the next level, putting many more lives at risk.
You send a Soup over the 38th parallel, Pyongyang's gonna answer with a nuke.
Then one of my guys will catch it.
Later that night, he's getting jiggy with a woman, who's not really a woman, but a Soup who can morph into any person. So the next day, Madeline blackmails him by saying that she will spread the pictures of him banging a dude all over the internet. And to prove these pictures aren't fake, Madeline reveals her true form.
You shiver when you orgasm, sir.
That will be all, doppelganger.
The senator says, look, even if he votes to put Soups in the military, no one else will back the idea. But the way Madeline sees it, the actual Madeline, is that his vote is just the first domino to knock over in her plan. Huey's having a tough time processing what he just did, and he really wants to go home.
Huey, you just ass-bombed America's sweetheart. You can't just piss off.
Butcher agrees to let him go home on the condition that Frenchie goes with him. His bedroom, which he hasn't been back to since Robin died, represents his old life. A naive and content life where things were normal, and he was also a bit of a fanboy of the Seven. He trashes all of it as a way to vent his anger. He also resents his dad for treating him like a kid, and it's obvious from the context clues here that the reason his dad treats him this way is because Huey's mother died.
I have never told you how much I hate sitting on that couch staring at the TV like we're already dead. How much I f***ing hate pizza rolls.
Now, you love pizza rolls.
When I was 7!
Knowing that he's actually a good dad and just trying to do his best to get by, he apologises for snapping at him. A really great scene in my opinion. Vought are happy to report that Starlight's ass-kicking story has been verified by the woman she saved, coming forward with the truth. So with this, Vought want to revamp her image by swapping her modest and boring outfit to this spicified outfit.
Mamma mia!
Vought says, we know you don't like this outfit because it shows off your chest and backside, but if you don't wear it, you're out of the Seven.
It's my body. I have the right to choose how much of it I show. That is true. You do. You just won't be doing it in the Seven.
In this episode, we meet another one of Butcher's old contacts, who's been talked into joining the crew. His name is Mother's Milk, and we won't be finding out the reason why he's called that for a while. Read the comics or Google it if you're desperate to know. From their conversation, we understand that Mother's Milk also has a personal beef with Vought. And the next scene shows us that Mother's Milk and Frenchie didn't have the best time when they last teamed up together.
You give the game away! Not until this frog gets what's coming.
The only thing that is coming is me and your mother penis!
So let's do it, bitch!
The argument is brought to a halt when Milk's phone rings, and he has to pretend to his wife that it's just a regular day at the office.
I love you too.
All of y'all, okay?
Butcher explains the situation they're in, and they need to follow up on the information that Translucent gave, as he begged them not to explode his bumhole. He told them that A-Train has a secret girlfriend called Popclaw, a soup who can pop claws. Huey comes up with the idea of pretending to be IT guys who are there to upgrade her internet package, allowing them to hack into any cameras in the house. There's a funny scene where Homelander's expressing his concerns with Maeve that no one's looking for Translucent, and they're having this conversation while casually strolling through a police standoff.
Besides, you can't fucking stand Translucent.
Give him hell, Homelander!
Yeah, you bet, pal.
Maeve, by the way, is like a bulletproof version of Xena Warrior Princess. Back to the boys, they're spying on A-Train and Popclaw, talking about this drug they've been taking called Compound V, which is basically steroids for superheroes. Butcher gets excited at the idea that if they obtain a sample of Compound V, they can tarnish Vault's clean reputation, with the general public believing that all superheroes are taking heavy drugs. Frenchie, also being a chemist, says he will figure out what Compound V is made of when he gets a sample. And as it happens, A-Train is competing in a big race the next day, meaning at some point his gym bag will be left unguarded. The boys station themselves around the stadium to carry out the Compound V heist. And while pretending to be a photographer, Huey sees Annie and realises she's Starlight. The two chat for a while as he needs to stall her from walking in on Frenchie. And for bonus points, she also gives him her number.
I know you're you and everything, but if you ever just wanted to, you know, get...
Would you like my number?
Yeah, that's
As A-Train prepares to race rival Shockwave, Butcher turns around in the crowd to stare down Homelander. No doubt a badass thing to do, but also an incredibly irresponsible thing to do. You've just openly marked yourself as a Homelander hater. Frenchie radios in that A-Train didn't bring the Compound V with him, and when they get back to the van, they see Popclaw is juicing up on it. Angry that A-Train just said that he's single on national TV.
How you celebrating tonight? Any special girl?
Well, you know me. I'm always in the game, but I'm too fast to catch. I'm open to offers though, lady.
Her Compound V blood is pumping, and her hormones are raging, just in time for her landlord to come knocking. And she knows exactly how she'll be paying for rent this month.
Stop! In the name of the law!
Oh no, Flash got me.
She uses his face like it's the edge of a tumble dryer, but she gets a bit too carried away and squashes the drum. The boys rush in to take advantage of the situation, saying they will help her deal with this mess if she gives them information on Compound V.
And all you gotta do is tell us everything you know about this.
The Deep's friend, a porpoise, found this lockbox at the bottom of a harbour. He brought in this particular box because inside is what's left of Translucent and a message for the Seven.
Whoever it was, they just declared war.
Butcher is slapping his sausage into the batter mix. In Britain, we call this toad in the hole. Cooking this homely dish is just a distant memory for Butcher, as he presently tucks into a hot pocket, which coincidentally is another word for puss. So, who was this woman? Her name is Becca, and she's an old flame of Butcher's, and is a central character in his hatred for Homelander. More on that later. Butcher meets his old contact in the CIA, Susan, and she says she'll hook the boys up with resources to carry on investigating Vault privately. But before that can happen, he needs to bring her hard proof of Compound V. The boys' current task is keeping a lookout at the place where Popclaw says A-Train gets the V from. They spot a sus-looking guy carrying a gun and a paper bag, and they follow him to a dingy basement. Speaking of which, you should follow us down to our dingy basement, our Basement Buddies Discord, link in description. Instead of finding Compound V, they find a Japanese girl locked in a cage. Yeah, this place really is like our Discord. Frenchie immediately feels sympathetic towards her and insists that they set her free, but it turns out she was kept in a locked cage for a good reason, as she's a soup with the ability to tear flesh from bone like a velociraptor. Before they decide their next move, Butcher confronts Huey about getting close with Starlight, warning him that she's a soup just like the rest of them. But if he's willing to use their relationship to aid the goals of the team, Butcher will let it slide for now. The boys chase the trail of the Japanese girl, whose name is Kimiko, to an underground subway, but unfortunately A-Train was also following her trail. While smashing her head against a brick wall a million times, Frenchie comes up with the idea of drawing a crowd.
Can we take a selfie? Oh, sure, absolutely. I can take one or two.
With A-Train distracted, they approach Kimiko, and Frenchie suggests that instead of killing her, she could become a valuable member of their team, leaning on Billy Butcher's idea that they're like the Spice Girls, useless as individuals but amazing as a group. Butcher's words, not mine. Although I did used to collect Spice Girls trading cards back in primary school. Everyone was doing it, don't judge me. The Deep has a meeting with Madeline where he pleads to be assigned to more meaningful tasks. But she's like, no, you're just a handsome fish guy that we use to advertise SeaWorld.
So this fall, remember, go deep.
He doesn't listen to her and goes about trying to save a dolphin, which goes hilariously wrong. The most shocking scene in this episode is where Homelander and Maeve are trying to rescue a hijacked plane. But again, Homelander's laser eyes cause big problems. This plane and everyone in it is done for. Maeve begs him to consider trying to save at least one person, but as he coldly points out, one survivor will tell the story about all the ones they didn't save, so it's better to ensure that no one survives. He of course lies about the whole thing when questioned by the press, saying they were alerted too late, and if only Soups were part of the military, maybe they would have found out sooner.
I hear you, Homelander!
And I hear you, brother! I hear you!
And the world hears you!
A-Train suspects Popclaw was the one that opened her mouth about Compound V, being the only person he told about it. He convinces her to come clean about telling the boys, on the promise of him finally making a public commitment to her.
There was this British guy, dark hair, real smug asshole, buzz cut French guy, big black guy with a goatee, and a skinny white kid.
A-Train then recalls his favourite memory of their relationship as a nice thing to say before giving her a lethal dose of heroin for being a blabbermouth. This whole thing turned out to be a plan orchestrated by Homelander.
You really screwed up, kiddo. But you did the right thing coming to me. I'm proud of you.
Butcher has the idea of blackmailing the stretchy preacher guy from the club, but first they need to get to him backstage at this Christian festival. He demands that Huey uses Starlight to get a backstage pass, and when he does this, Starlight immediately detects that she's being used, and her face says it all.
So what do you think? Pull a few strings, you know? Hook me up with some tickets?
Yeah. Sure, of course.
Later on, Huey reveals that he recently lost his girlfriend, and uses this as an excuse as to why he wanted a baptism.
Happened not too long ago, and I came here looking for a way to get out of the shit that I'm in right now.
Even though the story he's telling here is a lie, he does honestly feel a bit lost in life right now, so he is speaking somewhat from the heart. When backstage, he sees Homelander helping out with the baptisms, something which is part of the VIP package, I guess. And it's super suspenseful as you wonder if Homelander's going to drown him.
The Holy Spirit.
Huey then goes to execute his blackmail plan, but realises that he left his phone in his pocket when he got baptised. He goes ahead with the blackmail plan anyway, claiming to be one of the young boys that he bummed.
You played my butt like jazz, with poise and skill and willingness to improvise. You are a filthy liar. You are unclean. I have a video.
Ezekiel caves to the threat of being outed and tells Huey that his charity disguises Compound V as vaccines, and they ship them around to certain hospitals around the country. When Butcher and Milk investigate further, they find babies being drugged up on V, meaning that Supes aren't born with these powers, Vault are manufacturing them.
Jesus.
This leads into one of the best moments of this show so far, where Butcher uses a baby Soup to take down a guard.
Hey.
Butcher has a catchphrase that I've been omitting so far, but I think I can get away with showing it just once, as this moment really calls for it to be heard.
Holy fuck! That was diabolical!
From this episode, we start to understand Butcher's motivations a bit more. Becca, the woman from his wet dream, is actually his long-lost wife. Emphasis on the word lost, as there's a conspiracy surrounding her disappearance, and Butcher has made it his life mission to get to the bottom of it. He's speaking with his sister-in-law, angry that she made a headstone for Becca without an official notice of death. In her defense, she's been missing for 8 years, and her sister wants closure, just like everyone else in the family apart from Butcher, who smashes up the headstone in defiance.
Hey! Call your jets, Gov. It's not a hate crime.
Homelander's getting frustrated with Madeline, not allowing him to make his own speeches. And in this scene, you can tell he silently resents her baby, like a sibling getting jealous of the younger one getting all the attention. Madeline sees this in him, and she knows that to get him to fall back in line, she needs to ramp up her motherly affection towards him, in a Sigmund Freud kind of way.
You're my good boy.
Frenchie and Kimiko's hideout is discovered by Black Noir, the silent assassin Soup, but Kimiko defends Frenchie for being nice to her. Black Noir then near-on slices her in half, but luckily one of her abilities is that she can heal super quick. That's what's happening underneath all these pixels, which once again I apologise for, but you know why I have to do this. Whoa, hold on a sec. Was that intentionally supposed to be Homelander getting head from a dinosaur? Nope, it's a wholesome, family-friendly marketing video for Vought. This particular video is Vaught's countermeasure to a speech that Starlight gave, where she revealed that her faith is being tested because she was taken advantage of.
And if you have sex before marriage, that's not immoral. That's human. What's immoral is the guy who shoved his dick in my face. Shit.
This speech happened in the previous episode, but I couldn't find a natural way to fit it in my script. We see another marketing video in the making, where Homelander's given a tour of the house he grew up in, and all of this is completely fabricated. But the set designers did include one real prop, which upsets Homelander greatly.
Who put the fucking blanket on the bed?
Randy Setdeck.
Who's Randy Setdeck?
He's over there.
Randy, why? You fucking asshole.
Later on, it's revealed that this was his comforter while he was just a baby being monitored and tested in this cold-looking clinical facility. A really sad thing to imagine. Kimiko has been drawing these patterns repeatedly because it's her only way of communicating. Not just because she's Japanese, but she's also mute. Frenchie says there's something to decipher with these scribbles, but Butcher sees her as a nutcase not to be listened to. Madeline is warning Starlight that if she doesn't stop being a troublemaker, she'll be fired from the Seven. Starlight says, no, you won't fire me, because eventually I'm going to reveal what the Deep did, and it will look really bad on Vought if it seems like they were attempting a cover-up. Furthermore, she demands to have her old uniform back. Oh man, what am I going to creepily leer at now? She's even ruffling Maeve's feathers, suggesting that she's let her morals slip to uphold the company's image. Which, to be fair, is true, but Maeve's situation is complicated, and we'll be learning more about her story soon.
You really stood for something. But now, pretty sure that was just written by the marketing guys.
Madeline's left with no choice but to kick Deep out of the Seven, and force him to make a public apology to Starlight.
And I sincerely apologize for this. Though at the time I believed that our encounter was consensual, I now realize that I misread the moment.
Our new movie, Insurrection, it's really exciting. It's my first movie with the...
As part of this newsreel, it cuts to a news soup called Mesmer. And if his face seems familiar to you, it's because the actor's face basically hasn't changed since he played the young boy in The Sixth Sense.
I see dead people.
His ability as Mesmer is that he can read people just through touching their hand.
So, what am I thinking of?
I'm thinking the same thing.
Cool.
Milk shakes his hand, and Mesmer realises that he knows about his estranged daughter. Using his contacts in Child Protective Services, he gets Mesmer's visitation rights back, in exchange for him reading Kimiko's mind. Her past is so dark and traumatic that it causes her to break his hands when he dives too deep.
Damn, relax! Everyone relax!
Mesmer reads her again and sees that she was in a god-awful movie called Suicide Squad.
This is good time!
And also that her and her brother were captured by some bad people and forced into being soldiers.
She just wants to go back and get her brother out of there.
They send Mesmer home, and despite being threatened to keep his mouth shut, he goes right to Homelander and tells him all about their meeting.
He said you were looking for a French guy, a black guy, a skinny white guy, British guy, black guy, black guy.
Mesmer is good friends with A-Train, and he also wants to exchange these pictures for a job opportunity at Vought. But Homelander's too hell-bent on finding the boys to listen to him.
It's my phone.
Butcher shows Huey the last place he saw Becca before she disappeared. He does this to prove that he knows what it's like to lose someone, and he reveals that the main suspect is Homelander because he forced himself on Becca at a party. He warns Huey that getting romantically tangled up with a soup is a very dangerous idea, especially when their mission is to bring down Vought. He doesn't listen to this advice though, and Butcher catches him on a date with her.
It looks like you got your tongue halfway down the opposition's throat.
She's not the opposition.
What do you think she's gonna do when she finds out you murdered Translucent?
In the opening flashback, we see the party where Butcher and Becca met Homelander. This of course being the fateful party where Homelander took advantage of her. Moving on to a consensual version of this adult activity, Huey and Starlight have booked themselves a hotel room. Starlight wonders why their meetups have to be in secrecy. Why hasn't she met his dad yet, etc. Again, he palms it off as just being about him coping with Robin's death. An excuse that will only work for so long. The Deep has been relocated to a low crime rate area to ensure that he stays out of the media spotlight. Being part of the Seven gave him a step up from just being the fish boy soup, but he's lost that privilege now.
I mean, what about my crime itinerary? I think the best thing is just to, get out there and put some points on the board.
Not much crime in Sandusky. But if something comes up, we'll call.
You'll call?
Absolutely.
It doesn't take him too long to find a hookup and make him feel special again, and this woman he's found is super horny for his gills, forcing him to accept her fingers pushing into his fish flaps. Yeah, let's just move along, shall we? Homelander calls a meeting where he reveals Huey and the boys as being the people trying to take down Vought. Starlight is astounded by all of this, and you've got to feel bad for her. The betrayal she must feel right now.
Say someone got him in to see Ezekiel and got rid of the Deep.
Whoa.
Keep those hands down by your sides, Missy.
Huey wants out, fearing that he will be a witness to further bloodshed. But Butcher gets him to confess the actual reason is that he wants to run off into the sunset with Starlight. Huey then gets a call from A-Train, threatening that if he doesn't come home right now, he's going to hurt his dad.
Hey, Huey.
Why is he here? He says you're in some kind of trouble.
Dad, are you okay?
The boys realise they've been outed, and Vought have used their contacts to shut down their bank accounts. A-Train says you best get here in 20 minutes and come alone. It's at this point they realise it was Mesmer who burnt them, being the only person to have met all their crew. Butcher makes sure to thank Mesmer for his betrayal, giving him a sneak preview first.
Please, I have a daughter! No!
Huey arrives and A-Train is all steamed up, laughing at the irony that Huey used to be a big fan of him. Huey has a few cards up his sleeve for this situation, one of them being to offer A-Train more Compound V, in exchange for letting them live. His second card to play is Kimiko, who's been hiding in the ceiling ready to pounce, making the very smart move of breaking his leg.
You know, you're right. It would have been stupid to come alone.
Homelander wants information on what happened to Becca. Why did she suddenly disappear from the company? He visits an ex-Vought scientist, who reveals that he was involved in covering up her pregnancy, because this was no ordinary baby. Homelander got her pregnant while doing his awful deed, and their unborn son killed her during childbirth, as you can imagine the probability when giving birth to a soup.
The baby clawed its way out of her. The blood loss. No one could have survived.
This conversation brings up some childhood trauma for Homelander. He knows he grew up without a family, and this scientist guy was the closest he ever came to having a father figure. And what makes it worse is this man resents Homelander's existence.
I'm just an old man thinking about his mistakes.
I'm the world's greatest superhero.
You're my greatest failure.
Butcher's CIA contact finally comes through, now that she's been given enough evidence. She threatens Madeline, saying that if she doesn't close down the campaign to have soups in the military, she will expose Vought to the public. This deal takes an interesting turn, however, when report comes in that the military have just encountered a bad guy soup, who can turn his body into a mini nuke. This isn't a sacrificial kind of power either. He walks away completely fine, awaiting the US military's next move. Starlight confronts Huey about his betrayal. He tries to explain and says there's a big scandal where soups are created and not born with their powers. Before their conversation goes any further, Butcher comes along to get him out of there.
Fucking run, Huey!
What the f*** were you thinking coming here?
I didn't ask for your help.
Yeah, looked like you had it all under control.
The military move in to take out the bad guy soup, but then Homelander takes over to prove the point that he is far more effective as a one-man army, and it is just an absolute bloodbath. His devil red eyes glowing in the darkness is such a fantastic visual. I honestly wish this scene lasted longer. When he finishes dicing up the bad guys, he comes out with a sample of Compound V. Oh my, how did they get their hands on this? The Secretary of Defense immediately calls BS on this whole situation, implying that Madeline was directly involved in the bad guys having a sample of V.
If I had my way,
the Justice Department would haul your smug, tennis-toned ass into Congress and make you testify to corporate fraud.
As a fun detail, this character's called Robert Singer, and the actor who plays him also has a character in Supernatural called Bobby Singer.
Do I look like a ditchable prom date to you?
No, Bobby, of course not.
I'm not sure why they chose to have the names so similar. I found this detail a bit distracting. But then again, Jim Beaver is a good actor, so luckily the characters don't feel similar. Her retort to the argument is they have to use soups now that the bad guys have their own soup. No amount of artillery will ever match up to Homelander's powers. With this situation, the CIA are no longer able to prosecute Vought, severely stunting the boys' operation to bring them down. And even more bad news for the boys, they are now classified as fugitives for killing Translucent. Butcher decides to keep this news under wraps, to keep the team's fighting spirit alive.
Whoa, that's all under control, isn't it?
Butcher and Huey pay a visit to an old lady called Mallory. She's an ex-CIA agent who was working with Butcher to bring down Homelander way back in the day, making her a founding member of the boys. Butcher says, "You have to join our team again because you owe me Homelander." But then she reminds him that the last time they joined forces, her grandchildren got burnt alive by a soup called Lamplighter.
There weren't even teeth left. Lamplighter had burnt them alive so thoroughly.
Even though she's not joining the team again, she doesn't leave them empty-handed, as she has intel about Homelander's close relationship with Madeline, so perhaps she's his one weakness. Back home, all seems relaxed until the law come knocking. Kimiko tries her best to escape, but they inject her leg with some dizzy juice. On the news of being rejected again, the Deep falls deep into a depression, shaving off all his hair, angry at himself for ruining his own life. Not much else happens to the Deep in this episode, just thought it worth mentioning that he's going to look different in Season 2. Butcher and Huey disagree on the action plan. Huey wants to rescue Frenchie, Milk and Kimiko, whereas Butcher has his sights fixated on Madeline, hoping to use her against Homelander. When Huey gets captured and chucked in their cell, he reveals that he snuck in some metal disguised as a retainer. And man, I felt super uncomfortable watching Frenchie almost rip out his teeth trying to get it. But then Mother's Milk just punches it out.
Yes, good job, Huey.
They enter a shootout trying to rescue Kimiko, and Milk makes the heroic charge to bring her back to their cover. Just when it looks like the boys are about to lose, Starlight comes along and lights up the bad guys. Earlier on, Huey gave her this big old speech about being a hero, and blah blah blah, it wasn't that exciting. A-Train rolls in, alarmed to see Starlight is part of their crew, causing him to go full steam ahead in attack mode. As he comes face to face with the person that he blames for Popclaw having to be killed, he collapses from a heart attack, the continued abuse of Compound V finally taking its toll.
Call an ambulance.
He'll never stop coming for you.
I know.
This is Starlight. I have a code 7865. A-Train is down.
Butcher straps a bunch of explosives to Madeline, and he calls for Homelander to come down from the roof and beg for mercy. Homelander brings in Madeline's baby to make Butcher reconsider setting off the explosion.
Hey, look, Mommy. You all right?
No.
Madeline?
Take him upstairs.
All good.
He further antagonizes Butcher by suggesting that Becca was the one who came onto him, and she also enjoyed what he did to her. Things get tense as Homelander questions his sources. How did he know about their bizarre relationship? The baby's crying and Madeline's pleading with him to take the baby away from the scene. Homelander's jealousy of the baby is at peak level right now.
You mean everything to me.
No. No. I mean everything to your job. You care more about that baby than you do about me.
No, I love you.
She admits to Homelander that right now she's scared of him, and that gives him some satisfaction knowing that she's being honest with him. There was another secret that she withheld from him, which is going to be revealed in just a moment. But back to this intense moment, Homelander feels it's time to let go of Madeline Stillwell, and lasers her brains out. God damn. Butcher tries to go out in a blaze of glory by setting off the bomb anyway, but then he wakes up in a garden miles away. It's not just any garden though, it's Becca's. Turns out she didn't die, and neither did her baby.
I'm your father. We are a family.
Damn, what a great first season. I'm hoping to get season 2 out in time for the release of season 4. As I say this, I don't know if this video is going to get monetized, as even with my censorship edits, YouTube can be a fickle system to work with, and you never know what the end result will be. That's why your support on Patreon or being a channel member is so vital and appreciated for those of you that can. By the way, I've just added a thank you call out benefit to the YouTube channel membership. See you on the next one, which will be a surprise video. A much shorter video than season 2 of The Boys will be, but it's a video you've been asking for.